Fresh meat.
Welcome to the best horror movie you never saw, where we shine a light on horror movies that you may have missed, haven't seen in a long time, or just plain forgot about. On this episode, we're looking at Steve Miner's 1986 wildly entertaining House, starring William Katt, George Wendt, Norm, Lenz and Richard Moll. Horror and comedy, two great things that go great together. When done well, the results can be epic.
Forget it, man. No way.
When botched, you end up with something neither funny nor scary.
Seeing strange things, ghosts and stuff.
It's a delicate balance that many have tried and few have successfully accomplished. House is one that swings for the fences and absolutely succeeds. It's such a fun, ridiculous, eye-popping good time that you can't help but applaud its level of commitment to being as bonkers as possible. Truth be told, House is more accurately described as a comedy with horror elements in it, as opposed to the other way around, which is surprising on the surface because the plot wouldn't lead you to think there's anything too funny about it. The story concerns Roger Cobb, successful horror author and tortured veteran. Cobb is in the middle of a bad stretch. His son has been missing for a year, he's split from his actress wife, and he's struggling with his latest book about his traumatic experiences in Vietnam. Adding to the anguish, his aunt recently hanged herself.
This house knows everything about you.
How much can one guy go through? Oh, a whole lot more. Roger's aunt left him her house, which seems like a decent consolation prize at first, since he can hole up there and work on his autobiography. But it becomes very clear, very early, that this house isn't one with a cozy atmosphere. And that's not just because of the nosy neighbor, Norm! It's because the damn place is more haunted than a cabin in the Michigan woods.
Hey, it's great to have a new neighbor. Woman lived here before you was nuts.
This isn't your standard issue haunting. No invisible specters or strange bumps in the night. This is full-blown funhouse stuff. Screaming fish on the wall, levitating tools, skeleton soldiers, monstrous ghouls who lose their heads and hands, and more.
Yeah!
Feeling better.
You'd think seeing just one of these freakish apparitions would be enough to send poor Roger running for the nearest hotel. But in true horror movie fashion, make that comedy horror movie fashion, Roger decides to soldier through the nightmare, even attempting to document and frequently fight the ghouls. In fact, the guy is so committed to staying there, he ropes in nosy Norm to help combat the demons.
Ready?
Although with mixed results. Ultimately, Roger must confront his biggest fear, that of his long-dead friend Big Ben, who was captured and tortured in Vietnam while Roger looked on helplessly. Big Ben just happens to be the key to finding Roger's son, and, well, let's just say the third act is filled with even more lunacy than the previous two.
What's going on? What?
House comes from the team that brought us Friday the 13th Part 2 and Part 3. Producer Sean S. Cunningham and director Steve Miner. And the bits of humor found in those films are amplified here quite a bit. The story was written by Fred Dekker, best known for Night of the Creeps and The Monster Squad, two other movies that combine chills and laughs.
You're not afraid of raccoon, are you? Me? No.
Although his original vision of House was much darker than the final product. Probably for the best, as House is a bona fide hoot. A movie where you can genuinely say you don't know what's going to happen next. There are so many wonderfully nutty effects and an atmosphere of such unabashed goofiness. And yet, impressively, it still maintains a measure of intensity throughout. Like Roger, you're never quite sure if what's happening is real or imagined. Either way, it's like the freakiest acid trip ever induced. This is an especially hard movie to pick a favorite scene from. It could be the montage that uses Linda Ronstadt's "You're No Good" to amusing effect while Roger cleans up the corpse of a mutilated witch.
Baby, it's no good. Oh, I say.
Or maybe it's the scene where he has to make sure a young boy he's babysitting, don't ask, is safe from the house's phantoms. Whichever scene it is, you can bet it has some terrific practical effects in it. Made smack dab in the middle of the glorious 80s, House's makeup and special effects are wonderfully hideous. Designed and executed by Backwoods Films, the many monsters of House are fittingly over the top and ghastly. None more so than the eventual antagonist of the film, Big Ben.
No, it's your fairy godmother.
A hulking, skeletal brute who I don't mind admitting used to scare the bejesus out of my younger self. Incidentally, Ben is played by Richard Moll, Bull from Night Court, in what you might call a serious performance. And the Vietnam flashbacks actually provide the movie with some genuinely uneasy moments. When we find out what happened to Big Ben back there, it's no wonder the dude has been stewing over it for years.
I'm dying, Ron. Kill me.
But William Katt is pretty much the main show here, appearing in almost every scene of the film and never once phoning it in. Katt's enjoyable, take-no-prisoners performance is right in tune with the movie's overall vibe. It could end up being a little much for those who prefer their haunted house movies more grounded. But chances are, even the most serious-minded horror fans will warm up to Katt and House's spooky antics. Besides, if you can't get behind a movie where Norm harpoons a closet creature, well, I don't know what to tell you. You get the idea. House is a phantasmagorical ride. Absolutely worth seeing for either the first time or the first time in a while. If you want to maximize the experience, pair it with your favorite funny and or terrifying splatterfest. It goes down well with either as an appetizer or the main course. Of course, be sure to accompany it with your beverage of choice, preferably spirits. Finally, it's worth noting the movie spawned 3 sequels, although only one of them was in name only. House, the second story, may not be quite as inspired as its predecessor, but it too overflows with bizarre creatures and set pieces, so you'd be doing yourself a disservice not to give it a chance. As for House 4, well, maybe we'll save that for a different show.
I think this house is haunted.
Well, I find that, unexplained psychic stuff kind of interesting myself.